Okay, next tutorial. This time I'm dressed up as Skeletor from the original He-Man series, and as always it's been requested several times in the past, so I'll flash the first few names on the screen here, and the very first person that requested it was the Red Bandit, so I'll pop your name there, so thank you so much for requesting it, but thank you everyone, but you were the first person. So yeah, if you'd like to learn how to recreate this makeup, stay tuned. The first thing you're going to need to do, as always, is get rid of your eyebrows. So I'll pop a link on the screen here to one of my previous tutorials to teach you guys how to block your eyebrows out, just so I don't have to recap it in this video to make it a bit shorter. You can apply a ball cap if you want to. I mean, usually I would advise it if you're doing a skeleton makeup, but because this look has a particular iconic hood that covers pretty much all of the top of the head and the ears, there's no real need to do it. Unless you're going to be doing this makeup for a look where the hood has to come off, then obviously it would be necessary, but for me it's going to stay on, so I'm just going to paint my face. Then once you've blocked your eyebrows out, this step is completely optional, but I like doing it. I would rather do a really strong angry brow with latex, so a prosthetic, than paint it on, just so it looks more authentic from different angles. So I'm going to take a brush and some liquid latex, and I'm going to go over my eyebrows for about 3 coats, and I can start building up with some tissue, as I usually do when I do an angry brow. So then, after 3 coats, I'm just going to do one final coat just in the middle area, because I'm only going to work on the middle V, and going fairly low down, not too close to the eyes, I can take some tissue paper, which I've torn into, so I've got thinner strips, and I'm going to press that down, and then pull away the edges, and then take the latex again, and just saturate the tissue. So the idea is to do that for about 7 coats, in the same area, making sure the edges are thinner than the middle half, so say 7 coats in the middle, 3, then 2, then maybe 1 on the edge, just so it tapers off into the skin. And in between, say, the 4th and 5th layer, if you take your thumbs after it's starting to get dry and push towards the brow furrow, it starts making it the shape of an angry brow expression. It does tend to help when you're building it up. So I'm going to do that for another 7 coats, and we'll see what we've got. So there we are. So usually then I would start, for a skull, I would start tracing on the shapes that I want, but I want there to be a gradient within this makeup. I want there to be, obviously it's going to be mainly yellow, but I want it to be some green tones around the eyes and around the face. So I think to get a good gradient first, it'll be better to colour it and then do some details afterwards. So I'm going to be using 2 Chromacake colours by MAC. These are watercolours, and the yellow and green, which is the landscape green and the primary yellow. So I'm going to start by applying the yellow first in the centre of the face, and then I can apply some greens and I can start blending it all together. Then I'm going to take the green watercolour and I'm just going to do some highlighting around where mainly where the edges of the bone is going to be. So now I'm just going to clean most of the colour off the brush. As you can see, I've not used a huge amount of green, I've just stippled it on. So then I can just take off most of the colour of the green, but just use quite a bit of water, and I can just start stippling it again, just so it starts blending into the yellow. So yeah, nothing major. As you can tell, it's more yellow than green, but there's those green undertones in there, just makes it more three-dimensional. So then I'm going to take a lip pencil by OCC. This is their black colour, their Tard, and I'm going to use that to start sketching on the shapes of the skull. So you don't have to worry about it being too neat, as long as the outside edge towards the centre of the face is neat. The outside here area can be fairly sketchy, because that's going to be shaded and filled in later. Then I'm just going to start drawing on the shape that I want for the eyes. Make sure to follow obviously the contour that you've made with the latex. Then I'm going to take the pure white Chromacake colour, and I'm going to use that and a fairly large rounded brush, and I'm going to use that to draw on some teeth, just some rough teeth, so that I can trace over it afterwards. It's just for now, just so I can see exactly where they're going to go. So they're going to go over the top and bottom lip, but they're going to go quite wide across, so they're going to meet up to these 2 areas here where their cheek hollows will be in. Then I'm going to take some black Snazzy watercolour and a sharp angle brush, and I'm going to use that just to start tracing on the shapes of the teeth. Then I'm just going to start taking a really fine brush and the black watercolour and start just shaping out the teeth really. They're going to be fairly flat on the inside and then rounded off on the outside. Try not to make them too symmetrical, because they need to have that asymmetry there to make them look a tiny bit more realistic. Then I'm going to take a Grimas black cream, and I'm going to use that to colour really delicately around each tooth, just to fill in a few of the little gaps, and then the idea is I can strike them out, but I'll show you that after I've done this. Then taking the angle brush again and a tiny bit of the black cream, I'm just going to strike each tooth upwards, and then the bottom ones will go downwards. So don't go back and forth, just start in the middle, pull up, start in the middle and pull down. Eventually the colour will taper out naturally. So as you can see, as I've tapered the colour up and downwards, I've curved in slightly. It just makes the middle of the mouth stand out a lot more than the sides. Then I'm going to take the cream again, and I'm going to use that to colour in the cheek hollows here. The reason I'm using the cream is because it can be as dark as you possibly can get it, really, and the darker it is, the deeper it looks. So I'm just going to shade these two areas in. Then taking a small amount of the cream on a fairly rounded brush. The reason I say rounded is I can pull the colour down and it leaves that round edge at the top, but I want this effect where I get grading going down here, so I'm going to do maybe two or three little lines going here and then pulling it towards the teeth. It just gives that illusion a bit more that the cheekbones are higher up and they stick out more than the actual teeth, so just bear with me. So start in the centre, pull the colour down on both sides, and then with the remaining colours it's starting to fade to the outside edges. So these three join onto the three lines that I've got either side of my nose here. Then I'm going to do the nose. So I'm going to use the black cream again because, as I said, it makes things look a lot darker. Basically it reflects the light a lot better to make it look more three-dimensional. And the idea is I'm not going to do the usual skull nose that I do, which is usually a little fox nose. I'm going to end up doing like an upside down heart, but fairly sharp from looking at the reference photos that I've got here. Then I'm just going to take a tiny bit of the yellow watercolour on the angle brush and just swipe it once right down the middle of this. Not going all the way to the top though. Then I can work on some shading. So this is going to be fairly important to this look, so I can start making things look more three-dimensional. So I'm going to take the angle brush, I'm going to take the black watercolour, black cream, sorry, by Grimas, and I'm going to put it in downward motion, so out away from the face, not going back and forth because it will just make it one block colour. I'm going to start, so let's see, so I'm going to want this area here shaded downwards. So I'm just going to take the colour and pull it down. I've just stopped for a second so you can see what I've done here. I've drawn a line going along, so following this shape here, and then I've pulled that colour outwards just so it makes it apparent that this area is a lot more sunken in than this area. And I'm just going to colour in the hollows with the black cream, so the sides here and the temples here. So that's the gradient that I've gone for, so darker on the centres and then it fades out into nothing. So I'm going to repeat that on this side. Then I'm going to take the black cream again and colour in my eyes. And then taking the black cream again, I'm just going to shade from the cheeks all the way towards the centre so it looks like the teeth are peering out. Then I'm going to take the black cream again and just do some lines around the eyes and just do some brow furrows. So I'm not going to blend them just yet, I'm just going to show you where I've gone for a time lapse. So then for the forehead, I'm just going to blend those lines out with some more yellow. So they're not going to be particularly prominent, but I want them to be shaded outwards. These lines here I'm going to be doing a lot more work with. Then for the lines around the eyes, I'm just going to take a tiny bit more colour and I'm just going to ever so slightly shade away, leaving the inside of the eye completely clear. I'm just going to pull the colour down underneath the brow furrow a little bit just to make the shadow appear darker so it looks like the forehead's even more furrowed than it actually is. And I'm just going to take a Collection 2000 Extreme eyeliner pen and I'm going to do a few tiny little cracks just around the chin, just to make it look a bit more rustic. Then I'm going to take a Maybelline Eyestudio Lasting Drama Gel Eyeliner in black, the number 1, I'm just going to line the waterline of both my eyes. Then I'm going to take the Snazaroo black watercolour and I'm just going to paint my hairline, my ears and my neck because the costume is going to cover most of that, but any little bits that are on show like my jawline, I want it to look like a silhouette peering out. Then all that's left for me to do is pop in some contact lenses, my costume, and I'm done. And there we go, so that's the look complete. So I finished the look off by popping in 2 Skeletor contact lenses from eyesbright.com. I'll pop the link in the description bar below. I just use Skeletor, they're completely optional, but I just think it makes it a lot more hidden and sunken in, so why not? The costume is very makeshift, but I made it myself, so I hope that's okay. I made just a simple purple hoodie with some cardboard shoulder pads and the little skull and crossbone thing in the middle that I've covered in the same fabric as the hood, with the point as well at the back. But I mean, if you guys want to know how I made this, I mean, I can always pop it on my website if you guys want to know. The actual costume down below is a light blue morph suit that I bought just to make it a little bit easier so I haven't got to paint my body. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you liked my version of Skeletor. If you like it, please make sure to, you know, as the usual, rate, comment, subscribe and all that jazz, because it super helps me out, you have no idea. And yeah, so until next time, bye.